All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining the call today and being open to learning. Rachel and I are so excited that you're joining us today so that we can share our knowledge and experience with this revolutionary phototherapy patch that we were introduced to just about 5 months ago. I am Beth Blackmore. I'm a health and empowerment coach. I started my own health journey over 5 years ago, changing my food choices, my lifestyle habits. I lost 60 pounds in the process. And this was really the beginning of my conscious awakening. I ended up leaving my government career due to the unjust mandates to pursue my passion in helping people find their own inner power. As a former conformist, I am constantly learning, unlearning, relearning. I'm open to new information and embracing change. Most recently, I started learning about quantum biology, circadian rhythm, really harnessing the power of light. So, waking up with the sun, eating within an hour of waking. And I feel that embracing the power of light is this next phase of my health journey, of my evolution. So, when Rachel mentioned that she was curious about learning more about this X39 light patch, I knew that I needed to give it the proper attention. And as an MD, I knew that Rachel would be able to ask all the smart questions, understand the technology behind the patch. So I invited Rachel on the call with Diane, who's also on the Zoom today, and we were both blown away with the information you are about to hear about the company Lifewave, the inventor behind it, and the life-changing testimonials. As coaches, as healers, as light workers in this world of deceit and corruption, we know that people could really benefit from this healing modality by helping to support the body do what it does best, which is heal. So we pretty much signed up on the spot. We put our first order in and we did what any good daughter would do. We patched our moms. My mom had been experiencing knee pain, discomfort for many years. And within a few days of patching, my mom's knee pain diminished significantly. The physiotherapist she was seeing twice a week noticed more mobility, less inflammation. She wanted to know what she was doing differently, what supplements she was taking. She said she was using this light patch that her daughter put on her. My mom, who's 77 years old, I think on the call today, she also noticed increased energy, stamina during the day, going back to her regular walks, gardening, swimming, keeping up with the grandkids. She started sleeping better, deeper sleep. I've also experienced better quality of sleep, sleeping through the night, vivid dreams. I won't tell you the one I had last night, but this is unheard of for me. So really powerful in terms of my sleep that I had experienced right away with this patch. So then I realized, this lower back pain, this compression issue that I had been experiencing for years was alleviated within a week or so by using this patch. I have more energy, improved mental clarity, keeping up with all that's on my plate. But what fires me up is that I know that the best is yet to come. My body is healing and repairing and age reversing, as you will soon discover. I'm excited about the big, thick mane of hair that's coming after some significant hair loss over the last few years. So before we dive into the formal part of the presentation, I'd love to invite my friend and health practitioner, Rachel Maurice, who is co-hosting with me today, to introduce herself and share her inspiring journey with you.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Rachel Maurice. For those who don't know me, I was practicing as a Canadian physician and anesthesiologist for close to 20 years in Kamloops, BC, on the west part of Canada. And I left the conventional practice just 3 years ago, actually retired my license just recently. And I didn't think that I was going to be gone very long, just because I was taking responsibility for my own health and wanted to make those decisions for myself. But as I had a lot more time on my hands, as I wasn't working, I started doing some research and digging into a lot of information that I had not been privy to before. And that led me down a bunch of different rabbit holes. One of them was coming across a neurosurgeon in the US named Dr. Jack Kruse. Now, after hearing him speak on several occasions, I felt like the foundation of everything that I had learned in the traditional system started to crumble, not in a bad way, but I started learning that I had to unlearn a lot of what I was taught and relearn how the body works, and in terms of how health really comes about, because as traditionally trained physicians, another on the call knows, we're taught about disease management. We're really not taught about how to return health to the body, which is actually something that we don't do on an outside, from an outside source. It's actually done from within. And so I started getting really excited about everything I was learning, because this actually changed the course of my life because of certain things I was struggling with. I was struggling with extreme fatigue to the point where when I was driving, my eyes, I had trouble keeping them open. And when I was at stoplights, I would often hear horns honking behind me because my eyes had been closed, which I know is very dangerous. But the other thing was my sleep was definitely messed up, and it has obviously for quite a few years in the medical system of not getting sleep and being on call and having days and nights mixed up. So with this idea of light, he really taught me that light is the driver of our physiology, of all of the biochemistry of our health, and returning our health to optimal functioning. When this patch came across my purview and it had to do with light, and not that it's an outside source of light, but using and reflecting light so that we use our own light, it really fascinated me. And I knew I had to take a deeper look. And it was timely because my mom's health was also failing and taking a turn for the worse. She was not healthy to begin with, but that's what led me to Diane as well through Beth. And I won't steal Diane's thunder, but Diane was a cardiac surgical nurse for 20 years. And my mom has heart failure and was potentially having to get worked up for heart surgery, which we wanted to avoid at all costs. And so the information and stories Diane was sharing with me about what was taking place with heart patients that she had seen, not just subjectively, but with objective data from the tests that were done that we see in the regular medical system, it was a no-brainer for me to have my mom start on these patches. And then, of course, I'm not just going to have her start on them, I'm going to do them as well. And now the whole family, both my kids are on them. And I'll go in, when we go into the testimonials, I will share more about what's taken place with my mom, but I will let Beth take over now and we'll start the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. So I'm going to share my screen, and if you can give me a thumbs up once you see the screen. Okay, awesome. So who is ready to learn how to activate their own healing with the power of this patch? Well, some of us on this call have already experienced the life-changing benefits of this patch, and you will hear those amazing testimonials later. What makes this patch so unique is that it activates your body's natural healing abilities by harnessing your own light. It empowers your body to do what it is designed to do. By the end of this presentation, you'll see how this little patch can have a massive impact on your health and well-being. So let's dive in. And I will say at the outset that while you're going to hear some fascinating information, it's important to note that what we are discussing is not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease or medical condition. This is not a medical device that requires FDA approval. What we're sharing is a wellness technology product. And so what we're talking about today will focus on general wellness, addressing symptoms and experiences in our body rather than specific diseases. So talking about addressing those symptoms and what ails you, are you feeling older and frustrated that your body and your mind aren't functioning like they used to? Does it feel like you've hit a wall and it's all downhill from here? The low energy, inflammation, mobility issues, are they stopping you from living your best life? Now imagine for a second if you could feel more energized, keeping up with your kids or your grandkids. What if you could think clearly and stay focused without feeling mentally drained? Move freely without pain and enjoy physical activities with ease. Or maybe you want to level up your physical game and build lean, strong muscles and bones. How about enjoying a calmer, more balanced life without feeling stressed out and revved up all the time? Deep, solid sleep, where you wake up in the same position that you fell asleep in. So it's important to acknowledge how we got here and understand the natural aging process, especially when compounded by our modern lifestyle and constant exposure to toxins. So the chemicals in our food, air, water, and even radiation from devices. Over time, this leads to cellular dysfunction, making it harder for our bodies to repair and regenerate. So saying all this, stem cells are the body's repair system, replacing the old damaged cells. They act as the baby cells that replace the old dying cells. They become your heart cells, your skin cells, even your brain cells. But unfortunately, as we age, our stem cells mutate. They go dormant, causing the wrinkles, the gray hair, the body aches, organ challenges, and impacts our overall health and well-being. By the age of 30, 60% of our healthy stem cells have already gone dormant. By 60, a staggering 90% of these crucial cells are inactive. So now, full disclosure, 4 months ago, I didn't fully grasp how vital stem cells are. I had heard of stem cell therapy, it being risky, invasive, expensive, with only about 50% effectiveness. People spend thousands on red and blue light saunas for their regenerative effects, often paying upwards of $10,000. This is where stem cell regeneration becomes exciting and why the phototherapy patch is such a powerful option. So while many regenerative treatments aren't accessible for most people, Lifewave patches offer that affordable, non-invasive alternative to reactivate dormant stem cells through phototherapy. So activating healing with light or phototherapy is nothing new. It's been around since the dawn of time. We all know that the sun is a form of phototherapy, signaling our bodies to make vital vitamin D. But photobiomodulation is a type of light therapy that uses specific wavelengths of light to stimulate cells, boosting energy production, promotes healing. This process enhances cellular function. It reduces the inflammation, improves blood flow, and supports tissue repair. Best of all, it's non-invasive, offers a natural way to improve overall health. Now, what if I told you there was a product, one that uses this very technology to reflect your own body's infrared light, your heat, to stimulate a specific naturally occurring copper peptide? Well, that's exactly what the X39 patch does. So using our body's own infrared light to stimulate the production of GHKCU. This is a copper peptide known as the holy grail of age reversal. This X39 patch, which happens to be inventor David Schmidt's 39th invention, it naturally increases the production of GHKCU that is naturally found in our bodies. So it's a universal peptide that functions in many areas of our bodies. It's systemic. But how do we know the incredible benefits of this specific copper peptide? It is thanks to Lauren Picard, PhD and researcher, who first isolated it back in 1973. So there is 50 years of research to back it up, and you can access these studies on pubmed.gov, which is an online repository of scientific research. So now that we know that GHK does amazing things, right? It stimulates, so based on the studies, based on the research, it stimulates blood vessel and nerve outgrowth. It boosts collagen and elastin production. It has multiple anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, anti-pain, and even anti-cancer properties. It is capable of resetting over 4,000 genes in our genome, essentially resetting and repairing DNA to a younger, healthier state. But here's the clincher: the GHKCU reactivates our own dormant stem cells, effectively reversing the aging process. So how does this little patch increase GHKCU? Well, now that you understand the power of the peptide, let me introduce you to the power of this patch. So Lifewave X39 is a small wearable phototherapy patch. It's about the size of a quarter, designed to enhance energy, strength, wellness, and athletic performance. Developed by David Schmidt, the founder of Lifewave, this unique patented product represents cutting-edge regenerative technology. The X39 operates through photobiomodulation, so using your body's own infrared heat to activate a crystallized lattice of organic materials, including amino acids, sugars, water, oxygen, and salt. This lattice reflects specific light frequencies back into the body, signaling biological changes at the cellular level and targeting the root cause of imbalances and cellular dysfunction. The patches are latex-free, non-transdermal, and contain no drugs, chemicals, stimulants, making them safe to use without interfering with medication. So there is no contraindications because nothing is being absorbed into your skin. So in essence, X39 is an exciting, affordable tool for overall health and wellness, like an advanced form of infrared therapy. All right, Rachel, I'm going to pass the baton over to you to talk about the amazing benefits of Lifewave X39.
All right, thank you, Beth. And I just wanted to point something out for people who like to do research. When Beth talked about photobiomodulation being a type of phototherapy, there are over 6,000 studies in PubMed, again, what Beth was mentioning, where a lot of the research is kept. 6,000 studies on photobiomodulation. So if you mention this to anybody, the research is there, it's documented, it's verified, it's a real thing. So I just wanted to make sure that that was stated. So the benefits of Lifewave X39. Now, this has to do with the resetting of the over 4,000 genes, again, that was mentioned. It activates some things, it increases some things, reduces other things. So reduces inflammation and discomfort, improves strength, stamina, and energy levels. And a lot of this has to do with targeting the mitochondria, those little powerhouses, the engines in our bodies, in our cells. Improves muscle and bone density, improves mental clarity, and reduces stress. And so the mental clarity, that is something that I was struggling with from 2020 onward after getting sick, and definitely something I noticed shift within the 6-week mark, really significantly. Balancing hormones and eases anxiety, improves hair growth and skin appearance. And one of that comes from the increase in collagen production, which is not just about the beauty industry and our skin. Of course, that's a benefit, having nice, clear skin complexion and reducing wrinkles and less gray hair. But that collagen is really something that is throughout our entire body, including our fascia. It holds our organs together. It's actually it's really important in the communication from cell to cell, using water, using light through the water network. That's extremely crucial. It also promotes cellular repair and wound healing. That's actually how this all got started with the GHKCU. They discovered increased wound healing and improves sleep quality. And again, that's something that I experienced myself as well after starting on these patches. So really, it's an overall, it helps with your overall health and wellness, as well as targeting things. So it's a systemic effect and overall whole body healing. So the long-term results, again, to repetition is key here. So I'm going to repeat again. In the first few days, although you may not be feeling anything when you put the patch on, there are people who do feel immediate effects, but we don't get sick overnight. It usually takes us decades to get to where we're at. So we don't necessarily heal overnight as well. So just because you don't feel something happening doesn't mean it is not happening. And within the first few days, it is starting to reset over 4,000 genes. So just to give context to this, 4,000 genes is a huge number of genes. Now, there was in the early 2000s a study done called the Human Genome Project, where they wanted to map out the human genome, and they figured there would be about 140 to 160,000 genes, because that's how many proteins there are in the body. What they discovered was there were around 20,000 genes. Actually less than, I think, one of the Drosophila flies or something, which is kind of disturbing. But in any case, 20,000 genes. So this is resetting over 4,000 of 20,000 genes. And again, a lot of us on here either used to drink red wine or still do, and heard publicly about the benefits of red wine. Is kind of all over the media. And the reason red wine has these benefits is because of the resveratrol that is in the wine, and resveratrol resets 2 genes. So imagine all of this hype and buzz over resetting 2 genes, and this patch resets over 4,000 genes. Within 6 weeks, the brain becomes balanced. Within 3 months, collagen is increased. And I just touched on the importance of collagen in the last slide. And within 6 months, the heart reverses in age up to 8 years. So that was the real clincher for me getting started with my mom. So as David Schmidt likes to say, it's not anti-aging, it is actually age reversal. So how do we wear this patch? It is very simple. It's like Beth showed it I think you had it on your wrist. I don't have one on my wrist. There we go. It's like the size of Canadians, a loonie or a toonie. Americans, it's like maybe a quarter. And what it's like a little sticker. So there's an adhesive. You take it off. You stick it on the back of your neck, just like in the picture here. That was where the research was done, in that spot or below the belly button. And you put it on in the morning. 12 hours later, you take it off. And then the next day you put a new one on. When you take it off at night, there is still a little bit of life left in it. So you can actually put it on your pet. That's what I do. I tape it around my dog's collar and I put it on her so she gets the benefit of what's left. Or you can put it in plants, which I still have yet to do, but my plants are in need of it, I would say. So anyone who wants to try that, let me know how it goes. Like I said, you put a new one on the next day and then you repeat that process. Now you want to make sure that you drink plenty of water. It's really important to stay hydrated with these patches. And you want to make sure that that water includes electrolytes and it's not just water, because a lot of times if you don't have enough electrolytes and minerals on board, then you just end up peeing out that water and it's not getting into the tissues and into the cells where it's needed. Now that water is extremely important for light communication. That is how light travels in the body, is through the water network. So that's why it's extremely important to be hydrated. The other thing is this peptide works through, or this patch works through a copper peptide. Therefore, making sure you've got copper in your diet is important so that you have that copper peptide being able to be made. And so with recent last 100 years agricultural practices, there's a lot less copper in the foods that we eat. So it's important to make sure you eat high copper rich foods. And if you don't, then consider maybe supplementing. But high copper rich foods are things like organ meats, if you can do that, or getting supplements of desiccated organ meats, which is what my kids do. And oysters are probably, I would consider them a superfood on top of them being high in copper, but also shellfish, avocados, nuts and seeds. Cashews are high, and on the nuts side, sunflower seeds are high for the seeds. And a lot of people's favorite, a little square of dark chocolate is enough copper for the day. Next slide, please. So what to expect from these patches. So this is something that I just like to make sure, again, I'm going to emphasize what I said earlier, that we don't get sick overnight, despite a lot of people thinking that they can go for 40 years, that they're really healthy, and suddenly they wake up and they've got all these aches and pains and things are deteriorating in their vision and so on. It was actually happening all of those 40 years up into that point. So I want people to really understand that their expectation is not that you are going to get well overnight. It's hard because we've been conditioned in society to expect that, with medications that we're given, with surgeries that are offered, and just the types of quote unquote healthcare that we are offered, to expect to have changes immediately. But it takes time. Having said that, the time that we can reactivate our stem cells, to reactivate all of the stem cells that have gone dormant, is a month per decade that we're alive. So even that, a month for every decade you're alive, is pretty quick, in my opinion. Everyone is different. Everyone's had a different environment in terms of the number of years that they've been on this earth, the number of toxins they've been exposed to, just the different issues that they have, whether it be physical, chemical, emotional burdens that they've experienced. So everyone is different what is going to happen in the body. And as well, your body functions differently than what you might want to happen. You might be starting this patch thinking, oh, I want to get rid of this knee pain, or I want more hair growth or thicker hair. But your body knows exactly what needs to take place and what priorities. So it might be doing a lot of internal changes that you might not see, you might not feel, you might not know is happening, but your body is going to prioritize. So some people might have some effect after, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, and other people, it might take several months for those changes to happen. but the patch goes to work immediately. And if you are tired, that means it's working, because we need energy for healing. We need energy for all the things that happen in our body, all of the functions. We have 100,000 reactions going on in every cell, every second of the day. So it requires a lot of energy just to function. But then when you add healing on top of it, it's going to require even more energy. And therefore you will feel tired, because your body's saying you need to slow down all these other processes, because we need to funnel the energy towards the healing. So just be gentle with yourself, get extra sleep, maybe take an Epsom salts bath. As well, practice deep breathing, because you want to make sure that you get that oxygen deep into your body, into the tissues, into the mitochondria, those engines, to be able to produce the energy that's needed for all of this healing. So here we have some pictures. After this, we'll talk about some other testimonials, but these ones so you can see. On the left-hand side, this one has to do with hair growth. A lot of people, I would like that as well. Some thicker hair. But you can see the baldish spot. There's less hair on the top left corner. And then on the bottom pictures, this gentleman, you can see that there is definitely more hair growth. And I don't know, it says March 2024, but I'm not sure the timing of that. But you can see on the bottom portion, it's a little bit easier to see that there was a lot less hair. And then on the right-hand side, that there is a lot more hair growth that happened. And then that other one where you can see the woman with the hair that's parted, that one is to show her gray hairs were disappearing. So you can see in the line of her hair there, you can see at the roots, there's some gray. And then on the right-hand side, we can't really see that gray anymore. And this on the right side, the picture here is really striking in my opinion. So this woman has a curved spine on the left. That's very obvious. And after 4 weeks of the X39 and then one of the other patches, the one for pain, you can see that her back has really straightened up quite a bit. Yeah, that's really incredible. Very visual. So next slide, please. Thank you. And then here we have on the left-hand side, this lady had what's called vitiligo. And so what that is, you can see that there is different pigmentation on her skin. So there's basically a loss of pigmentation where it's whiter, and you can see it's kind of splotchy. And she said basically she had tried everything as far as treatments that she could find for this to help, and nothing worked except when she discovered the X39 patch. And you can see on the right-hand side, her skin now looks uniform in color and nice kind of pink color there. And then on the right-hand side, we have, this doesn't look like it, but it is a knee. And it's a surgical scar from a knee replacement. And I've seen a lot of those in my career. And I can tell you this one on the left is before the patch, and on the right-hand side, 2 days after being on the patch. And that is extremely rapid scar repair. That is just, for me, that's not something that I have seen in my career. And I've seen a lot of scars being in the operating room. So that's quite significant. Next slide, please. All right, so here is a topography map of, this is a brain scan basically. So these are images on the left-hand side, the lady, 77-year-old woman, and she, on the left-hand side, session 1 did not have the X39 on. In session 2, the middle one, that was after 3 weeks. And then session 3 was after 6 weeks on the X39. And basically you don't have to know the details of this, except for the red part on session 1 shows she has a lot of inflammation in her brain, and there's very little green, and the green is coherence. And what coherence is when there is communication between the left and right side of the brain, which is what we want. Basically, we want communication between the left side and the right side of the brain so things can work optimally. In session 2, after 3 weeks being on the patch, we can see there's no more red, so there's no more inflammation, and there's a little bit more green coming in. And then session 3, after 6 weeks of being on the X39, still there is no more red, so no more inflammation, and there is a little bit more green coming in. And again, more coherence, more communication, meaning more harmony between the cells and optimal functioning. Next slide, please.
So I think right now we're going to open it up to some powerful testimonials of people that are on the call today. And I would love to call on Diane Hunt to share your powerful testimonial.
Thank you, Beth. Yes, awesome. Hello, everybody. So as the ladies said in the presentation, I introduced them to the patch. I was a nurse for 20 years in the cardiac unit, and I try all the things, all the healing modalities. I live a healthy lifestyle, but I did get sick about 3 years ago, and I felt that I was still struggling with stuff with my lungs. I just felt like I could never get a full breath of air. And then what was happening was I was having palpitations. And so being a cardiac nurse for so long, that was really scary for me. I definitely could feel them quite often, pretty much every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And so I was seeing every practitioner, health practitioner, whatever they would recommend. I had so many supplements, trying all the things, and nothing was helping. And then somebody introduced me to this, another nurse in Florida. And I was surprised because I feel like I know all the things out there that's natural, but I never heard of this, which has been around for 20 years, this company. And so I was like looking it through, and I saw one of the things was about the heart, how it reverses your heart's age, and then also inflammation, how it reduces inflammation. So I was all in. I bought the big pack. I was like, put it on myself, my entire family, my dad. And I was one of the lucky ones. Within 24 hours, I had amazing results. I no longer got short of breath, and I also no longer had another palpitation. But to my surprise, when they talked about feeling older for their age, I'm going to be 50 in March. I was also dealing with dry eye by like 9 o'clock at night. I couldn't even really carry on a conversation with my husband because I would get dry eye really bad in my right eye, or I'd almost have to hold it open. That went away. Floaters in my eye went away. Mental clarity, like sharpness, to me, that was the game changer. I mean, I could really go on with a list, but I was told I have to keep it to a minute. But when I say this is the miracle worker, it really is. And you just never know what it's going to address. So definitely you're worth $3.50 a day. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Diane. And I appreciate you and your persistence with following up with me, because it took Diane quite a few times to get my attention before I had a look at this. So I appreciate you and you coming into my life. I'd like to call on Mickey. If you could unmute yourself and share your powerful testimonial today.
Yes, Beth, thanks. Hi, everybody. I just started this Lifewave patch like 2 months ago. I've been suffering with migraines since I was 16 years old. I can remember the first day I actually had it, where I was sitting, where I was at, all of that. And with mine, I end up getting auras with them. So with that comes dizziness, a lot of pain if I don't get right on top of it. I get really nauseous. I will end up vomiting. And when I get to that point, I have to go to the ER. You know, no meds or anything are going to help me at home. I've got to go get that taken care of. So my migraines were very consistent. Triggers were lack of sleep, weather changes, stress, certain smells. And I went from, or I had 3 to 4 migraines a week. Just all the time because the triggers were horrible. And today I should actually have one because we have bad weather right now. And I have only had a headache. It's not been a migraine. For years in EMS, working there and working in the medical field as a CNA, I've also had to, in caring for people, anybody in the nursing field, they know you've got to lift people. Even with good body mechanics, you're going to hurt yourself. It doesn't matter. You know, when I started EMS, we didn't have the electric cots that we have now. You know, we had to lift the people in those cots as well. So because of that, I ended up with 5 bulging discs. My L5S1 is herniated. I've had trouble all the probably over the last 8 years of just really bad stiffness in my lumbar back and just not being able to twist and move like you should be able to. But since I started Lifewave 2 months ago, my migraines are now down to 1 to 2 a month. I can control them with Tylenol. I don't have to take anything like that. My spine, I have noticed, is actually moving now. So I can twist and move, and it'll sometimes actually, I'll be laying in bed and I'll just slightly move and it'll pop like it's going back into place or whatever. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's kind of how it feels. And then I had a hysterectomy 3 weeks ago. I didn't have to have any major pain meds with that. That was on the 9th. And by that Saturday, I was done taking Tylenol for any pain. I've been on nothing since that. And the only thing that I've noticed now with all of this is just being tired. But like Rachel said, your body's repairing itself. So you've got to be patient, which is my worst enemy because I'm not patient with myself and I should be. But I can't wait to see what more months bring me with taking and doing the patch and stuff, because I've tried everything. I've pierced my dates in my ears, which helped relieve it for a little while, but it doesn't cure it. And I'm not saying the patch is curing me, but it's helping tremendously because I would lose work having the bad migraines and stuff like that. You can't function and you can't take care of people if you can't be cognitively and physically there. So yeah, that's my testimony. So
Amazing. That's super powerful. Thank you so much, Mickey. And we're
You're
so
welcome.
grateful, so glad that you're doing so well now. All right, I'd love to call on Larry. Larry, if you can unmute yourself and share your powerful testimonial.
Hello, everyone. I'm Larry from in Kamloops, same town as where Rachel is. And Rachel introduced my wife and I to X39 5 months ago. And I've always been blessed with good genetics, and I've enjoyed taking care of the body. And I've always been active in fitness. And especially my passion has been mountain bike racing, marathon mountain bike racing, multiple hours. And so I used a scientific method following a training program, and I would use technology to keep track of what's going on, heart monitor, power meter, etc. And that would all be stored on a computer. And I would know year after year where my body would be or where it should be. And so my health and fitness and wellness was predictable. And but all of that changed in middle of 2021. I participated in an experimental medical treatment, as did many other people around the world. And within days, I found that I was very ill. And just some of the major symptoms was heart problems, like we've heard, palpitations, shortness of breath, terrible swelling and pain in the body, balance problems, all sorts of objects seemingly floating around in my eyes with almost like a film of soap over top. And so I tried going through the medical system to get some treatment, and there wasn't much there. So I started looking on the internet, and I found there was many people with similar problems, and I started using their treatments. And up until that point, though, I had been using some strong medicine from the doctor, prednisone and painkillers, and that's how I was getting through life. And so I was able to use some alternative treatments, and I gained a good deal of my life back, but my fitness, my ability to be active really wasn't there. And I would have spells where life was just not good. And so then I actually got to the point where I stopped exercising, I stopped bicycling, and I'd accepted maybe this was my new way of living. And but I would still go out and ride once in a while, and I crashed on my mountain bike and dislocated my shoulder about a year ago now. And it was 6 months had gone by and nothing had really improved. And then we met Rachel. And Rachel got me started with the patch. And within days, I noticed improvements. I had lots of aches and pains, as you can imagine, falling off my mountain bike, but more importantly, I noticed that my heart rate had come down a good deal, and right now at this point, my heart rate is down at when I'm exercising, has reduced about 50 beats per minute from what it used to be, and which has helped me feel really good. And it's as if my body is working, everything is working together now. My heart is working with my lungs, with my circulatory system, my muscles. Everything is responding and working together. And that, again, I use technology to show that. So, but one thing about all my training, it taught me that if I do something today, I may not see the result for a month or 2 or 3, but I know that the results are coming, and I'm used to that. And this is something that with the X39, I'm 5 months into using this, and it's just a constant series of improvements. My life is getting better. The pain in my shoulders is pretty well healed. I had another shoulder injury I did here, and that, there's no more popping and clicking. All of that's healed. My eyesight is back to probably better than it was 5 years ago. And everything, my entire physical being is just wonderful. So I'm very grateful for that. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Larry. That is inspiring and motivating and very, very powerful. So I appreciate you coming on the call and sharing that today, because I know that that is going to speak to many people, in this world where people are really, really suffering with a lot of, decisions that have been made in the past. And I think just us, conforming to things and conforming to conventional medicine has not proved to be worthwhile for us. So I really appreciate you coming on, being brave to tell your story. So I'm going to share the screen again, and I'm going to ask Rachel, I believe, to continue on from here. Or unless, Rachel, you wanted to share some more testimonials. I know you're in terms of your mom's progression. Anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, maybe I'll just share at least about my mom, because I said I would do that.
Great.
And I can more after if people want. But so with my mom, we got her started right away. And, as well, being in the medical field, like I said, I was willing to be patient. I knew that she did not get to where she was overnight. She's 83. It was going to take a while to get better, and heart failure does not disappear. So I walk with my mom every single day, almost every single day, and we walk at a snail's pace because she's short of breath because of the heart failure. So it is very obvious to me how slow we walk, because it's painful for me to walk that slow. So within 2 weeks, I noticed her walking significantly faster, and I was shocked because it was only 2 weeks and I didn't understand how that could be possible. She was talking to me. We were walking on an incline most of the time. She doesn't like to go down certain spots near my house because there is a hill. And she was walking on an incline, talking to me, and less short of breath. It was amazing. And she uses walking poles, and she was not having to use her walking poles anymore as well. And then 3 weeks after being on the X39, I didn't even know she was getting regular blood work because of her just monitoring certain markers for her heart. And she came over asking me to look at some of them because they were out of the normal range. And I had a look at them, told her to go to her doctor and have him make any changes to her medications. But I told her that he was probably going to lower her thyroid medications, which he has done. And then he had to do that again. So she's 5 months in and she's getting better. She does have bouts of fatigue. And I just keep telling her that is the healing that's happening. But she's also now starting to lose weight, which is something she has been struggling with for decades. And she's not trying to. She's been trying to for decades and it doesn't work. But now she said the scale's not actually moving, but to me, she looks like she's losing fat. She's getting a lot leaner. And so that's also something that I've heard from other people. One of the senior from the business, one of the senior people went from a size 10 to a size 2, and I think it was 10 or 11 months, and she hadn't changed anything. But just a couple more things, just quick ones. I started sharing as soon as I found out of this because the science was so sound for me and there was really no downside to anything. And so many people have not had any changes or improvements with the traditional medical treatments that their doctors were giving. So I was just sharing with people saying, do you want to give this a go? I have no idea what you're going to feel, how it's going to work. A friend of mine who had sciatica for 5 years, nothing worked. She had constant pain. Within 3 hours, the pain was gone. She was just shocked and she was like, I don't know what the F is in this, but get me some more. And with my mom, she was sharing with some of her friends, and one of her friends' husbands just saw her and said she looked different and what was she doing, and he wanted it. He didn't even care to ask any questions. He's just like, get me the patches. He started on them, and 2 months later, he wanted his headaches to go away, which when she went to visit again and the friend wasn't home, he was kind of going on about, oh, the headaches were going away. They came back, and he was kind of waffling. And then the friend came home and said, well, did you tell her about your eyes? And he said, no, what about your eyes? And he said, well, I no longer need my reading glasses. So clearly the eyes were a priority over the headaches. Yeah, I just wanted to share those, then we can get back to it. And there's lots more we can share afterwards.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for that. Okay. I'm just going to switch to the next slide. There you go.
All right. So of course, David Schmidt is the inventor, owner, CEO, scientist. He is the heart of the company, and he is half the reason I am so passionate about this company as well. I couldn't be happier to have someone at the head who's in alignment with everything that I believe in. And so David Schmidt, it is very uncommon to have the owner also be the scientist of a company. So that is unusual for him. He is brilliant. I think they lost count, or he stopped counting after he got 130 patents. So now it's over 150 patents. But it's hard enough to even get one patent. And there are over 80 clinical trials done on these patches. So the company is 20 years old. He didn't start out marketing to the public. He started out with a contract with private companies, including the Department of Defense, and creating emergency survival equipment for the Navy SEALs. And one of those, obviously, he created this patch. He decided to use light so that it would not be anything that the Navy SEALs would be addicted to or have any side effects from, or any of the pharmaceutical other problems that come along with those. And so he created the energy enhancer, which worked extremely well until 9/11 hit. And if you weren't making something that had to do with the arms race, then the government just dropped you. So he started looking elsewhere. He ended up through networking, which is how he ended up coming to the network marketing world. Through the networking that he did, he ended up connecting with a 4-time Olympic swim coach at Stanford, Jim Quick, and started putting these patches on the ladies swim team. And 6 out of the 8 swimmers the very first day beat their own personal records. And then later on, I believe it was 2008 Olympics, they actually started beating everybody, to the point where they had to call the anti-doping team in and test the swimmers and then test the patches, which they found nothing on. So they continued on. And then he ended up deciding he was going to go into the longevity industry. And that's when the company took off with the release of the X39. It went from a $20 million grossing a year company to, we're on track this year for over 600 million. So the company's 20 years old, but it has really taken off with the introduction of the X39 in 2019, I believe it was. So there are a bunch of other patches that he created beforehand, but this one is really the foundational patch that does almost everything that the other ones do. And it is what is creating all the rage these days. And so for those of you who like to do your own research, and I personally would encourage that, the patent, there's a 22-page patent on this X39, and basically it can be summarized into the embodiments as results of elevating copper peptide, including activation of stem cells, energy improvements, and elevation of antioxidants. So again, on the right, the patent there, it says activation of stem cells, elevate levels of copper peptide, GHKCU in the body. And so that patent, along with the case studies, the testimonies, the research, and everything can be found on the website that's listed there. It's called thisisit.info.com. If anybody wants to write it down, or if someone else could pop it in the chat, that would be great. If you can't see it. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Rachel. Yes, I definitely like to do my own research, and that is an amazing resource, that website. So there's many videos on there with David Schmidt, other doctors that are touting, the amazing benefits of it. So it is important to remember the benefits of this company, and the patch actually go far beyond the surface. So yes, fewer wrinkles, more energy, less brain fog are wonderful, but think about the bigger picture. What if you could reduce that chronic pain and inflammation so significantly that you're no longer struggling with it? So maybe that means returning to a job that you had quit because of the pain you were in. Perhaps it's being able to enjoy the activities with your spouse, your kids, your grandkids that you've missed out on. Perhaps getting back on the mountain with your mountain bike. Or maybe it's achieving financial freedom, as this company is the #1 momentum company in the industry. So in fact, simply by sharing with others can allow you to live a life with more ease, whether it's paying for your patches, covering an extra bill, or treating yourself to a well-deserved vacation. This is all possible with the power of the patch. So let me share with you how you can start. So there's 3 simple enrollment options. These prices are in US dollars for a month's worth of patches, 30 patches. We call it a sleeve. It comes in a sleeve of 30 patches. And so there's an option for retail customers. So many clinicians and practitioners sell them in their clinics to patients at a retail cost. However, if you'd like to benefit from wholesale pricing, you have 2 additional options. You can sign up as a preferred customer or as a brand partner. And that wholesale pricing averages about $99 US a month. As a brand partner, so that third option. So not only do you unlock the wholesale pricing, but you also secure a spot on a team, even if you don't have any intention of sharing it or working the business. So there's no additional commitment or investment. And so what we often see is that people begin to experience the amazing benefits of using the patch, and then they just naturally share it with others. They end up building a business, and sometimes even on a full-time basis. So there are several enrollment kits available when you sign up as a brand partner. And so the more you purchase upon signing up, the better the value. So that way you can actually start sharing it with family, with your friends, loan them out to people as they wait for their own order. So it's always great to have extra sleeves on hand. And our company is part of the fastest growing team in the company. This is it. No one comes close. So in terms of, this being a unique or niche product, no one comes close to offering what this product does. And so not only does it address people's health goals, but also financial goals with a really generous compensation plan. So I do encourage you to reach out to the person that invited you on this call, because they'll be able to guide you through the ordering process and set you up with the best package available. So I want to thank you so much for your time today, and really being open to learning about this revolutionary phototherapy patch. I'm going to open it up to questions, and I'm going to check the chat. But if you would like to raise your hand and unmute yourself, please feel free. We love the engagement. And if you do have questions, feel free. Now is the opportunity. Were there any questions in the chat? I'm just looking really quickly here. Sharing your story. Okay, no questions in the chat. Okay, what about the copper cups? Oh, okay, that's a good one. Rachel, would you like to answer that question about the copper cups? I'm assuming because, people are thinking drinking out of the copper would be of benefit if the copper is absorbing into the drink.
Yeah. Okay. So copper cups would be a great idea. Copper is a great idea as a storage vessel. However, you have to make sure that where you purchase them or where you get them, they are actually copper and not nickel lined, because a lot of them out there, a lot of the companies have nickel lining in their copper. So that would just be a suggestion or a recommendation.
Great. Do you need to consume more copper foods the more patches you wear, or just the X39?
Okay, you want to? Yeah, no, I would
Go
say,
ahead.
so copper is not just about the patches. We need copper in our body for almost all of the kind of regulation of different minerals. So as long as you get enough copper in your diet, you don't have to consume any more copper than just what you need daily. Yeah. I don't know if that answers that. Who was that? That answered. Oh.
Oh, so maybe, okay, so I know that there are other patches that also increase different copper peptides. So potentially I know like the X39, which is a similar patch, but it's not the stem cell regeneration patch, but it elevates a different copper peptide, AHKCU. So I'm assuming that, or maybe this question is more about, okay, do we still need to increase further our copper consumption in order for that patch to work effectively as well?
I would say no, because we naturally have AHKCU in our bodies. We naturally have GHKCU. It's just a matter of we need to make sure that we've got the right amount of building blocks in our body for all of these things that we naturally already make. And so as long as you don't have to double up on things, is the bottom line.
Okay, we should be eating the superfoods and the beef livers and the oysters anyway.
That's plenty.
Okay. Awesome. Any other questions? No other hands up that I can see, but feel free to unmute.
I just put a
Charlene,
question in.
yeah, go ahead.
I missed the beginning, so I said, is copper the only thing that's affected? I don't know if that's the right word, but
So no, we're just because the patches we were talking about, how the patches work through the X39 patch works through increasing this specific copper peptide GHKCU. So one of the things that you want to make sure you have in your diet is adequate copper so that this copper peptide can be made. Does that make
does it
sense?
affect anything else besides copper?
So yeah, so we went through that was part
Yeah,
of the
I missed it.
presentation.
Sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, I don't know how to succinctly put it, but you want to, yeah, I don't know if you want to, if there's any way you can succinctly put it, or if you want to maybe watch the replay when we get it up, then that would might
Okay,
be a better idea.
I'll do that.
Yeah, I think just in terms of keeping it super simple. So, I mean, putting the patch on, you want to make sure that you are eating enough copper. I mean, you should be doing that anyway, because our body needs copper. It actually helps to regulate iron in the body as well. So eating copper, having electrolytes, and so not just drinking plain water, but we went through, Rachel explained how, you know, drinking electrolytes, so having a good quality sea salt, so the Redmond sea salt, the Celtic sea salt, and not even necessarily buying fancy electrolytes. That good quality sea salt has a lot of trace minerals and the nutrients and the electrolytes that you need to really hydrate your body at the cellular level. So it's not just about pounding water back and urinating it out, which will actually further dehydrate you. It's about using the good quality sea salt, because your body will need that in terms of you know, having the light from reflected from the patches work effectively and efficiently.
That brought up a question that I had, which is what sort of recipe for electrolyte? Like you're talking about salt and that, but what, like, if you were making that, what would you suggest?
I mean, Rachel could maybe talk about the Soleil water, but even just keeping it simple, I just have like a granule, like a rock salt that I'll have when I drink my water, or sometimes putting it into my water in the morning. So like a really fine granular salt in your water if you're okay with drinking that. But otherwise, you could just put it on your tongue like a rock salt and drink your water, and doing that a couple of times a day. And so it's not necessarily a big endeavor, creating, some kind of recipe for it. I know that some people drink the Soleil water. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you could check out maybe a recipe online for that. But I think just keeping it simple. I don't know, Rachel, if you want to add anything further.
Yeah, I would just say, I don't know if you're thinking about for your daughter, Shane, but what I do is just throw like in maybe 16 ounces, I'll just throw a few pinches of salt so that there is just a little bit of salt in there, but it's not overwhelming. So it's distasteful. Cause I know like my daughter can't stand it when I throw salt in. So I have to really, I fine tune how much salt there is for her. So as long as there's just like a little bit of extra salt, then that's fine.
I use
And
an
I have,
I use an electrolyte that NASA uses. So if you want to find out more about that, I guess I'll put my email in there and I'll let you know how to get a hold of that one that NASA uses.
That's interesting. Okay, thanks, Charlie. Shane, did you want to add to that?
I just had another question for Larry. Larry, what did your standard medical practitioners, what have they said since you've started to recover in that? Have you had any? I'm curious.
Shane, I live in BC, and my doctor
So do I.
retired. Yeah, okay. My doctor retired maybe 7 years ago, 8 years. I've been unable to get a doctor, and so it was just the walk-in clinics, and there's no continuity in the clinic. It's like you're starting over every day.
Gotcha. Yep.
And I ride with two doctors,
Yep.
and they just will not go and discuss, what my problems were originally. They are interested in where I'm at now, but there's a big disconnect in between. And so I'm on my own, and it's going well, and I'm really not interested in the opinion of the medical community anymore. It wasn't there when I needed it.
I get it, Larry. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay.
And I stopped mountain biking because I ran into a tree at the bike ranch over the handlebars, hit it with my head. So you'll appreciate that too.
Yeah. That's why I quit dirt biking.
All right, any other questions we can address while you have us? 5 after 3, that's pretty good. I think we may have set a record here. Good overview, lots of information. I think it was fairly clear according to the lack of questions, so that's great. But any additional questions, we're here. And so thank you so much then for your time. I do encourage you to reach out to the person that invited you on the call, because they can set you up, they can answer further questions, they can set you up, with the best possible package or enrollment. So I really do appreciate your time, taking it out of your day to join us and to learn about this. It's something that we are super excited about and passionate about. I mean, it's something that, Rachel and I know everybody says this, it's cliche, but this is something that just fell into our laps, that we are so excited to share with people, because as coaches, as coming out of working for government, Rachel, in the conventional medical industry, this is super exciting. The results that we're seeing with people that we're sharing it with, that we've been able, to put on hold some of the other aspirations that we've had, because this is just, too exciting not to share. So thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, thank you everyone for coming, spending your time with us.